This is The Sharks, the feature debut of Uruguayan filmmaker Lucia Garibaldi. God, man, I really hope I'm not messing these names up. But who she, after taking the film to various film festivals, including award-winning runs at Sundance and South by Southwest, by the way, she landed a distribution deal, and it will be available on demand and to buy this week, I believe, as of yesterday. I was speaking with Boots Riley not too long ago about Sorry to Bother You, and I wanted to ask him because he was in the 2018 film festival circuit, and I wanted to get his opinion about what it how important the film festival experience is to young filmmakers. And he gave me a great answer. He spoke extensively about how the Sundance community and the Sundance institution itself helped him develop Sorry to Bother You.
That's cool.
And how the festival itself, the experience of being able to present your film was, something he'll never forget. And I'm happy that she got the one experience, Obviously, South by Southwest, we talked about this. Geez, was it last week or a couple weeks ago? South by Southwest, a bulk of it. I don't think the films have been confirmed yet, though I imagine that this would be a part of it. We'll be moving to Amazon Prime Video for an exclusive festival run, sort of. So we're, like I said, whenever we reported on that, we're Erik and I will be covering a lot of what's going on there. So anyway, to get to the Sharks, so my first observation, and something that is making me look forward to this filmmaker's future work, is how she presents her characters. These humans are stripped to their animal their animalistic tendencies, and this is not necessarily in the same way as Silence of the Lambs, cannibalism, or The Most Dangerous Game of, man hunting man, but more in the sense that, there is some of that man hunting man, and we'll get to that here in a minute, but it's more in the sense that her characters, a great bulk of them are reactionary creatures. These are very impulsive beings. You get the sense that if you were with them on a boat, they would, if they saw something, they would jump and run, run around and toss the board, toss you overboard and put the boat capsize, that sort of thing. And what's interesting is that the film, which is set in a seaside village, this sort of small town, like the one that you were talking about, the danger that gets them all riled up involves, of course, sharks. At the beginning of the film, they're just rumors, and then one day, there's very bloody evidence that something is in the waters out there. Everybody starts to get all crazy. They form a group me village chat or whatever, to find to report on what they see, that kind of sort of thing. Right. Before you think that this is some art house version of Jaws, that it turns out that's only a subplot, and the backdrop to a different study and a different presentation of predation. It's a different examination of a predator, and it's a 14-year-old girl gnawing over her first crush. So Rosina, her name's Rosina, she's played by a non-professional actress named Romina Bentancourt. God darn. Though she's the middle child of her family, or perhaps because she's the middle child of her family, she proves to be relentlessly inaccessible to the audience and to everybody around her. She has very little patience for her older sister, and only a tad bit more for her younger brother. She pays she has very minimalist conversations with her mother. It's funny, there's like one sequence in which the mom's trying to figure out how to like copy and paste something. She wants to get an image from one place to another on a computer. They're a poor family. This is a poor village, depending, very dependent on fishing and that sort of thing, a fisherman's village. And, she's just like, just press the shift. And she's like, and she does it. And she's the mom's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, shift. It's very minimalist conversation. Like a lot of people are introverts by nature, but she is introvert. Like she is like I said earlier, she's inaccessible. You can't penetrate her. Like the film allows you to see what, it's not so much like the film reveals things about her, right? It's more she allows the film to see things from about her. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It's like she is ultimately in control of how much we know about who she is. Anyway, she's also relentlessly chilling. Every frame of the movie feels dedicated to balancing her coming-of-age story as both that of the predator and the prey. And the first scene hints at her capacity or her capabilities for violence. And a fantastic opening shot, by the way, of her running down a road. It's a Steadicam stalk closely behind. One of the first of many instances of artistic achievement in this film and artistic confidence and authority. But we find out that she's running away from her dad because she scratched her sister's eye, like, very brutally during a fight. And this is like that opening scene, like she jumps into the water and she thinks she sees the shark, and the movie sort of teases the sharks the whole time. Like it never really, that subplot never really becomes the core, but it does set the tone for the predator-prey relationship that Rosina embodies and practices. That being said, there are other sequences in the film that serve to expose the vulnerability of her age. 14 is a rough time to be alive. I'm sure, I don't know, man. That was 11 years ago for you. You might not remember that. You're kind of old now. But
I remember the year was 1965, and I was 14, and I got my first hand job by Missy Carlson back on the butt. Oh, kidding.
Keep the hand job thing in mind here. So, at the age of 14, you're too young to harness your hormones, but you're also too old to be excused for them. I think that's a pretty good way to describe that state of being.
Yeah.
This especially becomes the case when she meets Joselo, a young man who's a couple years older than she is, who works with her and her dad as a lawn serviceman. Her dad runs, a caretaker sort of, mowing lawns, watering gardens, cutting down branches, that sort of thing.
Right.
A handyman, an outdoor handyman, that sort of thing. So she meets this guy, and, she has a crush on him. It doesn't take him very long to callously, confidently, mind you, he basically, points at his pants and is like, hey, you see this? Come over. And this is the first instance of her being vulnerable. Her first sexual experience is a bust, not that kind of bust, especially not for him.
Right.
For some reason, it's him touching himself and him telling her to touch herself. And I usually wouldn't go into this much detail about it, but the camera, it's a very intimate and intense close-up on her as she's trying to figure out how to react. It seems like she's stuck between wanting to know, like, not really knowing what to do, not really knowing how to react or what to say, but then also a sense of curiosity. You can only assume that this is the first, penis she's ever seen. Man, I've said that twice today now. Jeez. But it's also like it's kind of weird to say that watching teenagers hook up is sweet, but it's sweet in the sense that she doesn't know what she's doing. Needless to say, Joselo is hardly impressed by the experience and, spends the rest of the movie sort of, not like staying away from her, but, like, he'll hang out with other friends instead and, maybe even talk to other girls instead. And she and Rosina is not having any of it. And the rest of the film is dedicated to her finding increasingly serpent and sinister ways to get his attention. There's that predator-prey dynamic again. This is an interesting movie, very slow burn, and it sounds like we're in the same boat here in that the director certainly has the visual authority and a sense of style that allows you to slow burn. It's not like what the characters are saying and what they're doing is slow. It's more like the director is allowing you to ingest the environment, to sort of take a breath in this world. Like, is that what happened with your last movie, I assume?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so it's like you really get a sense of the atmosphere here. However, the script does have its problems. I would say that this is where the artistry and the intensity of the narrative is lacking. I was shocked to find out that Rosina was played by a non-professional actress, because Garibaldi really morphs her into this, I want to call her sadistic, man, because it's like she does some creepy things, she does things that are very, not good, but she's just a 14-year-old girl, and it's like it's kind of like pulling on the pigtails, that sort of thing, it's like
she's naively evil.
I think that's what's hinted at the end of the film, but yeah, That's a good way to put it. That's hard to say too.
It is very hard. You saw I tripped up for the first one. It's like naively evil. Yeah.
But I wouldn't even call this a narrative. This film plays out more like a teasing collection of increasingly toxic interactions more than it has a traditional dramatic plot. This isn't all bad, of course. The gaze is strong with this one. If you don't know, the gaze is this cinematic idea, the cinematic theory that rests with the camera being used to objectify or mostly sexualize. And it was usually used back in old noirs and 30s, 40s, 50s cinemas to sexualize women specifically, and how we were seeing the camera is obsessed with the subject. This was a huge topic when you're discussing Hitchcock, for instance. But this is a female gaze, and it is a strange female gaze, because I don't know when the last time it was that you saw a female on the pursuit of the male, and a sadistic pursuit. I remember I was in a gender and film class, and we were shown a video, a side-by-side comparison of Hollywood scenes where a guy does something to a girl and it's the actual Hollywood movie, but then on the other side it's the girl doing it to the guy, and it's just super uneasy. So for example, in Scream, when what's Skeet Ulrich's character climbs up the window, right, and like just shows up. They have a girl doing that, and it just totally exposes how ridiculous of a situation it is. But I was afraid that this might be like, it might have felt ridiculous. Like the female perspective of this would feel either intrusive or either intrusive or just awkward. That's a good word. Like uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable in the sense that it's like, oh, this is eerie and creepy, but uncomfortable. It's like, oh, that doesn't really work. Right. This does work. And, it's a unique enough perspective, and it's a nice deviation of the typical coming-of-age romance that it can stay on its, or it can float, long enough, even though the narrative itself, like, there isn't a whole lot happening there. Like, it's a unique enough experience. That being, it's really slow, and I think you had a better time ingesting yours than I did this one, because it felt too long to me. And that being said, it's only like an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 17 minutes or something. Yeah, I think I will watch it again. I will definitely be watching it again if it's part of this South by Southwest Amazon Prime Festival. I do think it's worth checking out because it does offer a distinctly new narrator perspective that I think is interesting and worth exploring. But it did have its problems for me. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds interesting. Definitely was not what I was expecting when you were talking about a movie called Sharks.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was going into it. The IMDb summary I need to stop listening to because I have no idea who wrote it, but they did a bad job. Because it was like a guy and a girl, or two young lovers, embark on a relationship while rumors of a shark infestation haunt a village or something. It's like embark on a relationship. It sounds like they didn't even start it. There was no sense of a relationship in this, but I think it's eerie. It's probably one of the better things. Like, this is not for everybody, but I guarantee you there are going to be some people who see this and have a wonderful reaction to it. So go ahead and check it out.